They told him he still had time, that there was still hope. But last night, Donnie Swaggart stood over his father's hospital bed, wiped his face, and whispered the words no son ever wants to say. It's time to let him go, but what if that decision wasn't just about the oath? What if this wasn't just a heartbreaking family moment, but the final curtain on a ministry drenched in secrets, scandals, and silent payoffs? Because just hours before Jimmy's vitals crashed, a sealed document leaked in line. And what's in it has the potential not only destroy the Swaggart family dynamic, but expose decades of lies, money laundering, and betrayal inside the pulpit. Why did a former choir director flee the state? Why did a hospice nurse record Donnie's private breakdown? And woe is the mystery woman spotted leaving Swaggart estate at 3 a.m. the night before the collapse? This is not just a health scare. This is the final reckoning. Keep watching because what one cover changes everything. They say Jimmy Swaggart had 9 lives. But nobody expected the final one to slip away solemnly behind those golden gates. On plush carpets of Baton Rouge, something dark was unraveling. Cameras shut off. Microphones went silent. And for once, even the choir couldn't drown out the truth. Donnie Swaggart stood frozen, holding back tears, whispering just one sentence that shattered the room. It's time to let him go. You could hear a pin drop. Not because of silence, but because everyone was watching him. Thiessen, the heir, the preacher turned caretaker, finally forced to face what no camera ever caught. The downfall of the man they once called untouchable. But let's back up. This isn't just about Jimmy's health collapsing. No, this is about the Swaggart empire coming face to face with its reckoning. Because what is now being whispered in private circles leaked through anonymous emails and hinted at by ex-staffers, it's bigger than anyone imagined. You see, insiders claim Jimmy wasn't just battling sickness. He was battling demons not prayer could cast out. They're saying in his final days, he wasn't asking for God. He was begging for forgiveness, not from heaven, but from the very people he crushed. On his climb to the top, former employees who were fired and silenced, family members who were shut out. And he's carrying it all, the guilt, the secrets, the legacy, and now the collapse. Sources close to the ministry revealed that during Jimmy's last month at the mansion, things were not what they seemed. Yes, the cameras were still rolling. The ministry kept posting throwback videos, smiling choir rehearsals, reruns of fiery sermons. But behind those edits, Jimmy was barely conscious, hooked up to machines, surrounded by silence, his once booming voice reduced to murmurs. Some say he was seeing things, calling out names, crying during the night, gripping his bubble like it was the only thing holding him on this side of life. And what about Donnie? Publicly, he preached faith. Privately, he unraveled. According to an insider, a longtime staff member who spoke only under the condition of anonymity, Donnie broke down during a meeting, slamming his hand on the table and shouting, "I can't lie for him anymore. I won't." Wait, lie about what? That's where it gets darker. There's talk of a hidden room. No, not some creepy dungeon, but a locked library filled with old tapes, journals, and sealed letters. Stuff that never made it to the broadcast, some dating back to the scandals of the 80s. Allegedly, Jimmy kept these as leverage or insurance. Or maybe just as a twisted memoir of everything he survived and everything he buried. But now those secrets are starting to surface. Staff say Donnie's been quietly burning files, deleting footage, wiping hard drives. One technician who was recently let go told us, "He asked me how to permanently erase backups from the cloud. When I asked he just said, because the world doesn't need to know everything." Really, Donnie? The man who once said, "Truth shall set you free," is now playing cover-up commander. And you know who's watching it all in silence? Jimmy Swaggart. She's been in full damage control, staying out of the public eye, but pulling every string behind the scenes. Rumors say she met with 12 high-profile lawyers last week, one a crisis manager, the other a legacy planner. Combine that with the sudden stuff, layoffs and canceled donor events. This isn't grief, this is strategy. The question everyone's asking is strategy for what? Because if Jimmy's really at death's door, Why are they acting like a PR teen caught in a scandal? Unless the scandal isn't over, unless it's just beginning, and then there's the money. Oh, the money. Millions in ministry donations supposedly earmarked for outreach, missions, community work have gone missing from the books. That's not just speculation. A leaked financial reportage from within the accounting team shows mysterious consulting fees routed to shell companies. One of which, surprise, surprise, is registered under Donnie's former assistant name, when reached. For comment, that assistant said, "I was just following orders." That's the same excuse used by every fallen empire. Yet through all this, the failing health, the erased tapes, the suspicious finances, they kept broadcasting as if nothing's wrong. As if Jimmy's still preaching fire from the pulpit. But here's the kicker. One source, a nurse hired briefly through a private agency, said Jimmy wasn't even aware that sermons were still being aired with his name attached. He thought cameras had stopped. She said hadn't known they were still monetizing his face. Let that sink in. The man's laying in bed drifting in and out of reality while his image is being streamed to millions for profit, and he walks in every morning, looks at his father, then goes live online with that same smile, saying, "We're blessed. God is good," but if God is watching and the truth finally comes out, what happens then? Because we haven't even touched the lawsuits, or the anonymous whistleblower from Inside Dead Ministry, or the shocking voicemail that allegedly captures Donnie screaming at a board member to keep it quiet or you're gone. We'll get to that because if what's coming next is true, then this Swaggart legacy is about to collapse faster than anyone ever imagined. Then like something straight out of a Lifetime movie, Donnie Swaggart walks into the chapel, not as a preacher, but as a broken man, not with a Bible, but with a hospital bracelet still clinging to his wrist. "I just wanted 5 more minutes," he muttered, his voice cracking. Cameras weren't supposed to be rolling, but you already know. Some diet record. That leaked footage. Yeah, it's been passed around more tonic collection play on Easter Sunday. But what happened next is where this story truly derails. According to an anonymous nurse at Baton Rouge General, Donnie wasn't crying over Jimmy dying. He was crying over a decision that had just been made. What decision? A do not resuscitate order, ADNR, that reported Litany was forced to sign after a heated confrontation with Jimmy's medical team and, get this, members of the ministry board. Yep, the same board that Jimmy Swaggart helped build brick. A brick with 3 sermons and sweaty foreheads was no quietly, maybe even gleefully pushing to pull the plug. What? Oh, buckle up. Multiple leaked documents allegedly suppressed from the public suggest the ministry's insurance policies would pay out significantly. Jimmy passed naturally while still in active leadership. Were we talking millions, multi-millions? Some insiders claim over $15 million in death benefits tied to legacy clauses. And if that doesn't scream corruption in inquiry-ups, I don't know what does. And now drama shifts to behind closed doors. Donnie didn't want to do it. Close family friend reportedly said he was pissing, crying, screaming at the hospital walls. He kept saying, "This is murder," with a clipboard. That same source says Donnie tried to revoke Thedner hours later, but was shut down by a legal team that, at this, already had everything filed and signed, no appeal, no second chance. And just like that, the power of life and death taken out of his hands. Meanwhile, Jimmy, barely conscious, was moved to a private room surrounded by cold equipment, warm prayers, and cameras just waiting for their money shot, and yes, someone from the media was allegedly already tipped off about the official time of death. 6 hours before Jimmy even stopped breathing. You still think this is about grief? Because while Donnie was grieving a father, someone else was securing their future in marble halls and McGorch boardrooms. Back at Family Worship Center, the scene was just as dark, just behind brighter lights. Reports say Gabriel Swaggart, Jimmy's grandson, wasn't at the hospital. No, sir. He was allegedly in a closed-door meeting with a crisis PR team discussing restructuring and legacy pivot branding. In simple terms, the Swaggart name had to evolve fast. They're already planning a transition, whispered a longtime choir member who asked to remain anonymous. There's been a power struggle brewing for years, and Jimmy getting sick was the moment everyone was waiting for. And let's not forget Frances Swaggart. She's been Moss Lysolent through this entire circus. According to a private voicemail leak circulating on WhatsApp and Telegram. Yep, that's where the real tea brews these days. She reportedly left Donnie a 47-second message that said, quote, "You've always been emotional. This is about what's best. The ministry now. Daddy would understand. Be strong, son. Be strong. That ain't strength, that's strategy." And here's where things get even messier. Former Swaggart employee who handled finances during the early 2000s just came out of nowhere, posting a 12-minute voice note claiming the ministry was preparing for Jimmy's departure years ago. She referenced cold room meetings where legal counsels, spiritual advisors discussed monetizing the inevitable, and you know what shackled it? Operation Last Psalm. We couldn't make this up if we tried. Operation Last Psalm, according to her voice note, was allegedly a blueprint for transitioning Jimmy while preserving the empire. Everything from funeral camera angles to who gets what office space to who controls sermon approval after the patriarch is gone. If this sounds like a Netflix drama, that's because it might as well be one. And while all this is bubbling over in private recordings, social media is on fire. One TikTok user posted, "I watched Jimmy preach for 20 years and no, I'm watching his own son sign his death warrant. This ain't church, it's corporate cannibalism." A viral Instagram reel showed Frances walking out of the hospital smiling just moments before Donnie broke down publicly in the parking lot. It's been viewed over 3 million times with captions like, "The Queen is dead. Long live the Queen." Let's pause here for a second. Can we just ask, is anyone mourning Jimmy the Mon, or are they mourning Jimmy Thebrand? Because there's a difference. Back inside the hospital, sources say Donnie made one final request to be left alone with his father. What happened in the room? Nobody knows for sure. Butone nurse says the heart monitor flatlined shortly after a heated argument muffled through the door. And just like that, Jimmy Swaggart, the fire and brimstone king of televangelism, was gone. But what followed? That's where this saga takes a truly sinister turn, because less than 12 hours after his passing, someone allegedly connected to Ministries' inner circle tried to access Jimmy's personal vault located in his home office. A vault that, according to ex-staff guy, contained decades of unreleased sermons, personal journals, and sealed confession tapes meant to be buried with him. Yeah, you read that right, confession tapes. Tapes that, according to one handwritten index card found in a leaked inventory photo, were labeled things like Atlanta 92, Green Room Incident, and Francis Not Forleys. And right there, the fuse lit, because if those tapes get out, this legacy isn't just ending, it's exploding, and just when everyone thought things couldn't get more bizarre, it did. Because while the world was still grappling with Jimmy's quiet whispers of regret and Donnie's trembling breakdown behind closed doors, an unexpected figure walked straight through the hospital's back entrance, a woman who hadn't been seen near the Swaggart family in over 15 years, none other than Frances Swaggart's arranged niece, Lorraine. Now, if that name doesn't ring bells, it's because the family made sure it wouldn't. They buried that scandal deep. Lorraine, she came back with a suitcase full of receipts and a voice memo that had the potential to blow everything sky high. The memo was reportedly recorded during a private Thanksgiving dinner back in 2010. You could hear Jimmy's voice faint, eerie, confessing things no Ani expected. "If I go tomorrow, at least you'll be free from it. From the money, from the lies, from what we built this whole empire on." What did he mean by lies? What empire was he trapped in? Lorraine, now a born-again blogger with 3 million followers and an axe to grind, went live just an hour after leaving the hospital. She didn't hold back. Y'all prayed with him, sang with him, sent them checks. But did you ever ask what your donations really paid for? That compound, that silence, those jets. By the time the 20-minute live stream was over, hashtags like #SwaggartTextPosed, #PrayForTheTruth were trending on X, formerly Twitter. Church members started asking questions, loud, uncomfortable ones. Comments like, "We deserve to know," and "Is this why they stopped releasing their financials?" flooded every platform to the Swaggars inside the hospital. Meanwhile, security was doubled. Sources say Donnie had to be physically restrained after he saw Feliv's stream. He reportedly threw a monitor and screamed, "They're going to destroy everything." Francis collapsed into a chair in the hallway, mumbling prayers while dialing lawyers. And yet, Jimmy stayed silent. Doctors said he was mostly unresponsive. Now, Booth's pulse would spike every time Samina mentioned the word scandal. Like his body was reacting to a truth even Heck couldn't bury anymore, but the worst was yet to come. Just 48 hours after Lorraine's live stream, a whistleblower email landed in the inbox of a Baton Rouge journalist. Attached were over 40 scanned pages from a hidden ledger, allegedly showing years of hush payments labeled only as discretionary evangelist mextness. Recipient names were blacked out, except one, a familiar name, T. Baker, as in the former televangelist Tammy Faye's ex-husband. Now the pieces were falling into place. Quiet financial deals, secret settlements, all tied to a network of aging televangelists who had once ruled American TV like pop stars. The Swaggart Circle, as internet sleuths dubbed it, became a trending deep dive that conspiracy with theories about sex rings, shell companies, even offshore accounts and bees. Meanwhile, Donnie was scrambling. A family friend leaked audio of a phone call where he begged the family's longtime lawyer, "We need to stop this. Seal the hospital. I don't care if they call it a prison. No one else gets in, no press, no pastors, no one." The dam had already burst. Jimmy's fans, those who still held on to his gospel, were now split down the middle. Half were defending him like aiding martyr. "He's old. He was manipulated. This is Satan's work." Will the other half started boycotting everything. Linked to the Swaggart name, Donnie's sermons started streaming to help empty digital audiences. Donation lines went cold. Even Sun Life Broadcasting Network, once a staple in evangelical homes, saw its ratings plummet by nearly 60%, and as the empire crumbled, the man at the center of it totally motionless under white sheets, machines humming, eyes barely fluttering. Then came the most haunting moment of all. On the third night of Jimmy's hospitalization, during a closed-door prayer circle, nurses overheard him murmur a single chilling phrase, "It was never supposed to be this big. I just wanted forgiveness." Forgiveness for what? That was the question everyone now wanted answered, because suddenly the sickness didn't seem purely physical anymore. Felt spiritual, like his body was reacting to decades of secrets finally catching up. Some began calling it divine justice, others a final spiritual reckoning. With Lauren editing part 2 of her expose, allegedly featuring unreleased footage of Jimmy, and to now Decia settle events, people were bracing for impact. The Swaggart family, unstoppable giants in Christian media, were now hostages. Their own legacy, but there was still one more twist to come. Because as dawn broke on the fourth day, a priest from outside the denomination was seen walking into Jimmy's room. Not a Pentecostal, not a Baptist, a Catholic. Rumor swirled instantly. Was Jimmy converting? Seeking absolution from a neutral voice. Whatever happened in that room, no one saying. But when the priest walked out, his face was pale, shaken, almost. "Pray for him," was all he told reporters. "He's finally telling the truth." And with that, the cameras outside the hospital rolled harder than ever, capturing every whisper, every footstep, waiting for the final word from a man who built a kingdom on salvation and now might lose it all in silence before yucklick away stop. Think, if this is what's unfolding behind closed church doors, what else don't we know? Jimmy Swaggart wasn't just a preacher, he was a movement. A voice that once commanded stadiums is now barely a whisper behind hospital walls. Now Donnie stands alone in tears, practically begging God for mercy, while insiders whisper that a decision's already been made. Let him keep fighting a battle that's already lost. We've seen this play out too many times, the golden image. The loyal followers, the blind devotion, and then boom, One crack in the glass and everything falls. You know what's worse? It's never really about just that person. It's about the empire, the money, the control, the secrets they swore you'd never hear. So now it's your turn. Do you think this is truly the end of Jimmy Swaggart or just another staged crisis? Fuel donations and manipulate empathy. Do you believe Donnie's tears are they the performance of a lifetime? Drop your thoughts in the comments right now. Was this divine fate or man-made destruction? If you want more deep dives like this, unfiltered, unapologetic, and brutally honest, hit that like button, smash subscribe, and turn on notifications because trust me, what's coming next will shake your faith in everything.